Oh, there we go. Greetings, friends of the apocalypse. This is Podcast at Ground Zero, your home for the apocalypse, for episode 75, Off Topic 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
Off Topic 2, Electric Boogaloo. Thank you. I can't believe I missed an opportunity to say that. It's unbelievable. I am the Apocalypse Nerd, and he is Adam Bomb Glancy. We will be coming to you tonight live from Warship Ajax, but I don't know. You know where that's from, right?
I was laughing in the hopes that you would not quiz me and reveal my ignorance. Warship Ajax. You're going to have to fill me in. I am failing my nerd cred check here. I am.
Flash.
It was War Rocket Ajax.
Okay.
Double nerd check.
Checkmate. Riposte. And
finish him.
Glancy, finish him. Sorry. So we Off Topic 2. So I thought, Off Topic 2 was the first Off Topic was pretty successful. So we're going to continue to do these. Basically, if you hadn't heard these yet, basically it's just Scott and I ranting and raving about whatever floats our post-apocalyptic boat.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about stuff. So, one of the things that just popped in my head before I forget. Were you aware that Tenacious D, right?
Yes, I am very familiar with Tenacious D.
Okay, apparently they have a new album out called Post-Apocalypto, and they have done like a movie or a series on YouTube. I've seen it's broken down to episodes, like single episodes or one big movie. Post-Apocalypto, which basically is a post-apocalyptic story that they illustrated and star in. And basically, it's not animated. It's really more like still, like done in like MS Paint. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Or something like that.
It's so. Are you going to compare this to Release the Beast? Daggone Release the Beast.
I know what it is. No, they did a better job. But basically, it's them. They'll break into songs. Like apparently, all throughout the movie, they'll break into one of their songs from the album, and it's just telling this post-apocalyptic tale of surviving in the apocalypse. So.
Right.
So there you go. It's apocalyptic, so
it sure as fuck is. I mean, yeah. Absolutely, it counts. I am going to be going there immediately to check this out.
Yep. So Tenacious D, Post-Apocalypto. It's about them trying to survive and get laid, and just just basically Tenacious D stuff.
Yeah. All we've come to expect from Jack Black and Tenacious D, or Black's involved, right? You did say that.
Yeah, Jack Black and Kyle. I can't remember his last name.
All right,
but yeah, no, they're goofballs, but you know what? They could sing and they could play, and they do a damn good job of it, So
hey, if they want to visit the apocalypse, I'm not going to stop them. We'll review their work. We'll come back with a review later. All apocalypses are welcome, at least on the way in. We may kick you out the back door afterwards, but we'll let you come in the front door.
Oh yeah, we'll let you pass the bouncer, Yeah. But whether you stay or not are two completely different things. So, Post-Apocalypto, Tenacious D. So I came across that. I knew about it, but then I'd forgot. But all of a sudden today, I'm like, oh wait, that Tenacious D thing, So I looked at that a little bit. So hold on. I really need to get some lighting in this studio that diffuses correctly. So we got a bunch of stuff that we've come across and some things we wanted to talk about. One quick little thing. I was telling Scott before the show that one of my dreams, from 82 or 81? Oh man, again. When did the Road Warrior come out? Is it 81? or 82?
I thought it was 82 here in the States.
Yeah, I think so. So
I mean, as Mad Max 2, it may have hit screens in Australia in 81, but you keep talking, I'll look it up.
yeah, because it's 81 and 82 were fucking phenomenal years for movies. I don't remember which ones came out which years. I don't remember. But you have things like Blade Runner, The Thing, Conan, The Road Warrior, Escape from New York. It was like a 13-year-old's wet dream 2 years of movies. Raiders of the Lost Ark. There was like just hit after awesome movie in those 2 years.
You make a good point. Those were all formative goddamn movies. And it wasn't just that they came at the right time when we were young. They were great fucking movies every single time. Everyone you've mentioned.
Oh, and there's more. There's stuff I'm forgetting, but there were so many movies that E.T. came out then too. I remember seeing it.
Yeah, you're right. It's 81 for Road Warrior.
It was okay. I thought it was 81. There were so many great movies. There was at least 10, 15 movies. I have never seen a 2-year span like that since. Especially not in the last 10, 15, 20 years. It's like movies are like kind of far and few between, but just those years just hit this amazing movies. But so ever since I was 12 and seeing The Road Warrior in the theaters, because that's what you could do back then, because nobody cared. Well, yeah, they do it now, but they check a little more. I always wanted the last V8 Interceptor. I was like, I'm going to have one day. But as I've become an adult and learned more about these things, people make car kits, but to get a 73 Falcon XB, from Australia, pretty hard to get. You might be able to find a beater for $5,000-$10,000, like a total piece of crap. And then you're going to have to probably spend another $50,000 to $100,000, getting it up to par, just because the parts are so hard to get and rare nowadays. The kits are one thing, but so I was finally able to get myself one. And the people who are on audio can't see it, but I'm showing the people on the YouTube channel. There is a company that does it's a Matchbox size car. I think it's Johnny Lightning. Is the company that does it. They do all these like specialty Matchbox style cars from movies and TV and stuff like that. So they did, the Road Warrior. It's from the first film. It is not the later one with the tanks and stuff from the Road Warrior. It's from Mad Max. But I think I paid with shipping, less than $10 for it. Because it's like whatever the shipping is, plus it's a few bucks. $5-6 for it's pretty typical, but. They're available all over Amazon because they have that one. They had another one with a little different coloring. They even made one for like, I guess some of these newer like slot cars. Like remember when you used to have the race cars when we were a kid, you click them together and they had the little groove in it and you put your race car on. You had the little controller that like made noise as it ran across and gave it voltage. There's like some modern like racetracks like that, but that don't have the grooves. But they have like a Mad Max car for that. So, and I think there's also a larger scale one that's probably like 7-8 inches across. So yes, I finally have my V8 Interceptor, even though I can't drive in it.
Mr. Wallace, if you go and you throw out, an internet search of films released in 1981, I got to point out that The Evil Dead was released in 1981.
Oh, there's hit after hit in 1981.
Friday the 13th Part 2, the first time we get the hockey mask, American Werewolf in London.
Yep.
Das Boot, Excalibur.
Oh, yes, Excalibur, yes.
The original Cannonball Run and Porky's, Stripes, Heavy Metal was released, Scanners, okay? Body Time Bandits, Quest for Fire. It's really terrifying, the films that were released in 1981.
The number of good ones, and then it repeats itself in 82.
Yeah,
there was even more. Like Conan came out in 82.
Yeah.
Blade Runner. There's so much stuff like 81 and 82. The Thing was in 82. There were so many amazing like it was a fucking two fucking giant fistfuls of good movies each year.
Will we ever see its kind again? Oh my God.
No, I have never like. Okay, you tell me in the last 20 years when you've seen. Okay, the list you just read me was what, 8 movies?
Well,
There's
and
there's more. All great movies. You tell me in the last 20 years when you've seen a year where you've had that many good movies.
I didn't even throw out things like Dragon Slayer was on that list, and
oh yes, Dragon Slayer.
Yeah.
That people didn't. That was Disney's first PG movie.
Yeah.
By the way,
there was a bunch of other things on the list. I just shut it down. But one of the things I want to know about is, okay, it's 81, 82. I'm wondering how much of this stuff is before the giant explosion in VHS stores and technology, when everybody's got a VHS player in their house or a beta player or whatever. So everything goes onto the screen. If you make a movie, there's none of this straight to video that we always hear about, right?
Oh, now we have straight to video, but it still wasn't back. You didn't.
Back then, everything got into the theater, I think. I'll bet you there were more movies released in 81, 82 than that are released today, because so much of it doesn't show up in a theater. It goes on to video, it goes on to DVD releases, or it's downloadable, or it ends up in somebody's archive or something.
Oh, yeah. There was no on demand, so basically you had to go in the theater, you know?
Yeah. Which means with a larger selection, you know, we just had a huge selection. And I think that must be part of the issue, was so much of this stuff, there was more to choose from back then. And
there was, but those 2 years in particular, like you look at 80, there was some good stuff. 83, okay. 84 had Return of the Living Dead. There's some stuff, but those 2 years in particular had so many good movies. Awesome movies, and I saw them all, you know, or most of them.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so I got my Interceptor. All right, so
hold that up again for the people at home. Make sure we can.
For the people who have video, you can see my little Matchbox. Vroom vroom. Woo, I'm a video.
It doesn't look terrible. It actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's out of focus, but no, they did a nice little job. You know, it's from Mad Max, and you know they got all the details. It's pretty nice.
Okay. Do the doors open? That's always the first question on Matchbox car.
No, the doors don't open. But I think on there's a larger version out there that's a little more money that I think the doors open on it.
Okay.
And what else? Oh, I didn't post this on the blog yet, and I'm going to. I found this guy on YouTube did this 2-part video about the timeline for the Mad Max movies. Okay. Now, the timeline for the existing movies, which a lot of people say, we've had this discussion at length about, oh, there's no real timeline and there's no order, but yes, there is. And the Mad Max Fury Road, where that fits in the timeline, you know, and so many people say it's like, oh, it's just like telling the story around the campfire. You know, we've had this. You go back to the Mad Max episode and we talk about it, but my take is that it's a reboot. Okay, So this guy did this 2-part video. First talking about the first 3 movies and their chronological order, which is the order of the 3 movies. That's exactly how they're supposed to be, because this guy did some digging into scripts, talking to people, interviews, TV magazine, and put things together, timelines together. Like, you know, this happened around, you know, the late 70s, and this one would have happened in the 80s. This one would happen, you know, when the timelines would have happened. He did a pretty good job breaking it down, because he did his research, and the research he came from the second video, and his conclusion was that the 4th Mad Max film, Fury Road, which should have been done like in the 90s or early 2000s, but it kept on, as we know, it kept on getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And by that time, they thought, you know, well, Mel Gibson wasn't going to do it. He was getting too old for the role, and so forth. So it was originally supposed to be a true 4th film, a continuation of the Mad Max story. That was its original intention. Again, from scripts. But because of, Mel Gibson and the age of time. So basically, and they even said that it basically became a reboot. It's not it could be anywhere in the timeline. It's a reboot. His conclusion is it's a reboot, and he reinforces what I've been saying, that it's a reboot of the franchise because it's too far from the original movies to be a continuation. Because he even talks about in the video about how in the original script he was supposed to have like pieced together an old Interceptor again, and so on and so forth. I'm going to be posting them. I have them lined up to post. So it's a pretty good analysis. I agree with what the guy says, especially because he showed a lot of where he got his information from.
The story of Mad Max putting the Interceptor back together again, that's a movie I would have wanted to have seen just by itself. That there's the montage sequence I'm sorry I didn't get to see. Damn.
Yeah, I don't know how he would have done that, but or where he would have got another one, but that would have been interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, so I'll be posting that. So basically, it validates what I was saying, that it's a reboot, folks. It's not a fireside tale of blah blah blah. It was supposed to be the fourth film, didn't happen. He kind of restarted the franchise with that movie. So you can still believe what you want to believe. A lot of people disagree with me, but you know what? It's my show. It's your show. We can say whatever we want. We're right. So
we do have the ability to block contrary opinions. It's one of the nice things about our post-apocalyptic dictatorship we have here.
Yes. And we don't normally do that. I don't think I really do. But anyway, so those are things that I come up with. There's a couple things I'll talk about, and I'm going to let Scott take over, giving some more analysis of it.
Okay.
Because he did the legwork. I didn't.
Well, you found him. Okay, that's the first thing is you found him. I just did the forensic analysis after you brought it back to the lab.
Yeah. So I didn't do that. I hate putting these on but as we get old, we can't see anymore. All right. So I came across this company, and I mentioned this before. It's called Throw Eye Games LLC. It's this guy has this little small game, like tiny little game company. A lot of the things he started doing was he does a lot of throwback stuff. He does a fanzine called Back to Basics, is I think what he started with, where he does basically a fanzine like you would have had 30 years ago about basic Dungeons and Dragons, basic expert Dungeons and Dragons. So it's got some pretty good stuff in it. I looked at one of the issues, but then I also found that he apparently goes to North Texas RPG Con frequently, because I guess he must live in the area. So in 2016 and 2017, he produced 2 modules. Like every year, he does like modules for the convention. So in 2016, he put together NTX3, North Texas RPG Con. I guess number 3 was the module he put out. Into the Wreckage. It's a first edition Gamma World module. So we did a throwback. He created a module for first edition Gamma World. And then in 2018, he did another one for the convention called A Dish That Serves No One. So he did these 2 modules for first edition Gamma World. I tried to get, I contacted the guy, see if he still had any of his physical copies that he printed out and sold at the show. He didn't have any. So I bought him a PDF because, very few people, Gamma World's, is a dead franchise pretty much. Even after, they rebooted it 7 years ago with that Tactical Miniatures board game. It's not a role-playing game, people. I don't care if you like it. So somebody who's doing something for first edition, even second edition, whatever, but somebody's doing something for old school Gamma World, I support them. So I got it. I got, because I'm a big dork, I wound up printing them out on some thick paper just so I had a physical copy of them.
Very nice.
So I was just excited to see somebody who's doing something for first edition Gamma World. So there are these 2 modules, and I'm going to let Scott talk about it because he did the analysis of them. I was a bad host, and I didn't read up on them, but Scott's better at that kind of analysis than I am. So I'm going to let Scott talk about the two different modules.
Cool. They're both the dish that serves no one is a 32-page product. End of the wreckage is 40, and the thing I liked about right off the bat, one of the things I really liked about Into the Wreckage was the idea that you start off discovering it's an encounter scenario. There's no mission. You just throw this in when your characters are moving through an environment, and you find an airplane that has been downed somewhere, that has been forced to land out in sort of crash land. And while you get into the airplane and you sort of recognize, start exploring it, you realize that someone has dug into the aircraft from below, and that anything that was on board that was of value has been taken out through this tunnel. And you follow that out until eventually you get to an underground facility. The wreckage, both the base and the airplane, are related to the social wars. So the author links back to the various social terrorist and political groups of the era, and the base you dig into actually belongs to the Apocalypse. It is not the Apocalypse's prime base. It is some sort of outpost of the group that called itself the Apocalypse that actually pulls the trigger on destroying the world in Gamma World lore. And there's this great thing where the airplane is one of the factions. The Apocalypse are the guys who run the base, and they forced the aircraft down, dug into it with some sort of underground boring device that they use to move around because they're literally an underground organization. And they loot the aircraft for intelligence. But unfortunately, one of the things they take has got a digital booby trap. I really like this. They steal all this intelligence from this aircraft that they're going to use in their plans to end civilization or threaten to end civilization. And one of the items they get has a virus in it that when they plug it in into their software network to start analyzing it, it infects all the machines in the base and causes the robotic security to turn on the base personnel. So when you get to that base, everybody's dead, and there's a reason for them all being dead. Their own security systems turned on them. But they fought it out with the security systems, which is why there aren't rack after rack of hydrogen energy cells and pristine blaster rifles and laser rifles and that sort of stuff. The place has been damaged and denuded by a fight that took place inside the base. And I really like that because it gave a reason why it's not just a giant treasure box out of Monty Hall. It's wrecked too. People used up all their hydrogen energy cells and all their weapons fighting with the robotic security. It's also why the robotic security doesn't just massacre the players, because when you get down there, they're all beat up, damaged, have been scavenging parts off of each other to stay functional. So the place isn't like opening up a time capsule from the social wars, but it does give you this look into the kind of chaos that's happening during the social wars, where one group takes out another group, but in their victory, they end up being wiped out by a booby trap left behind. That in and of itself, that idea, that vision of the social wars was really interesting, and kind of like, even here at age 53, thinking back, this would have been really good as a kid for me to see in high school, because it would have given me a different idea of the social wars. It would have given me this idea of
yeah, because that's not something they really delved into in any edition of Gamma World. They talked about it, but they didn't really get into it. So the guy did some expanded world building with that.
Yeah. And instead of coming off like in the original book, it comes off like terrorist groups fighting terrorists. And again, he had the example, I think he might have been working from the example of Beirut, right? That the city of Beirut was one of the most richest, most cosmopolitan cities in the Mediterranean. the Paris, of the Mediterranean, of the Middle East, even. And within a few years, the civil war in Lebanon reduced it to a moonscape, with multiple militias killing each other and fighting over the place, and government disintegrating, so that government is no longer a single entity. Like, because the Christian Maronites control this part of the government, that breaks away. Because the Druze control another part, or the Sunnis, or the Alawites, and it just breaks down along sectarian lines. So reading this, it comes off less about terrorists as it does. It's more like the cryptic alliances or secret societies. I mean, it comes off. The future feels like it fell apart because the Illuminati got into a battle with each other, not because rinky-dink protesters with signs and terrorists rioted in the streets. It comes off more like a battle of hidden forces behind society, which sort of works better. The dish that serves no one is I think it's about a satellite. Well, I believe that's a reference to a satellite dish.
Yeah. Because I looked at it a little bit. So yeah, it's definitely. They reference it in the description of that. There's a satellite dish that started moving around.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
And I like the idea that it's set in a community that's built on an old, ruined military base. The problem is they haven't discovered all the base. That even though they think they're living in all the base, there's underground bunkers at the base that the population does not know about. And some part of the base becomes reactivated, and it starts malfunctioning. In specifics, it's malfunctioning by attempting to get orbital weapons platforms and orbital weapon systems to return to base. Like, this recall code's been sent out. So stuff that can't really make it back through the atmosphere starts remote piloting itself in, breaking up in the atmosphere and raining down on the base, smashing the community, and you've got to get inside and turn the thing off. And again, he came up with this really, both of these are dungeon crawls. Absolutely.
Right? Oh yeah. Well, that's what he's kind of into, the throwback to the basic and expert Dungeons and Dragons and Gamma World First Edition was around that time. So it's all dungeon crawl, because that was the kind of just not the mindset, but you know what I mean. That was this kind of I can't think of the right term for it, but that's just how they were back then. Not all the time, but dungeon crawl was predominant back then.
This one is also about exploring a secret base. This time it's an actual military base belonging to the U.S. military. One presumes the Air Force, because it's about suborbital weapons platforms and suborbital things like that. The big deal the thing I liked about this base is that, okay, it's a base left over from the apocalypse. It didn't take a direct hit. So, what's going on? Why are you not just going to pop it open? What happened to the people inside? Why didn't they just come out with their high-tech weapons and rule the roost? Well, the answer is, the base was hit by some sort of malfunction or some sort of computer virus during the chaos, and gets this lockdown order. And so the crew that is manning this section that's sort of the monitoring the low orbit of the United States, they're trapped in there. And at first everything's cool because there's a war going on outside and they're not getting hit, right, when the apocalypse happens. But then at some point they realize, okay, time to get out. Let's wait till radiation levels get low enough. The base is still locked down. They can't get out. And the food starts running out. And then suddenly the interior of the base turns into this fight for survival, where it's down to the last cannibal gets to starve to death inside the ruins of the base. So again, you got a situation where it survives a direct hit, but is it intact? No, because the place turned into a free-for-all with various gangs evolving between the different groups inside, and periods where one group would take over and designate who was on the menu and who wasn't, or designate it first who gets food, who gets full rations, who get half rations, and at some point who gets food and who doesn't, and then at some point who gets food. And that during the course of this, there were rebellions and riots and changes of who's in charge until they're just all dead, and they've used up all their supplies. So you get down there and eventually turn this thing off. But
you're not sitting on the like here is the dragon's treasure hoard. It's not like that. There's stuff, but it's not over.
Yeah, exactly. And there's still some automated systems. Again, it's one where there's automated systems, I think, that are down there. I think this one actually has some other. You get down there and you can run into another group that's looting the same facility from a different entrance. There's a group of arcs in there who will. It's interesting. He wrote into this thing where the arcs, which are like dog-like or human-like dogs, standing upright dogs, will actually negotiate out of a tight situation. Like, they've got a bunch of shit they've looted. Well, you might want their shit because maybe they've taken all the best stuff. But rather than get into a firefight because you've got them outnumbered, they'll like go, how about we leave with this laser pistol and we walk away and call it even, And so I thought that was nice that was put into it, that they're just not mindless monsters, that they're intelligent and they don't really want to have a firefight. They just want to loot this place, and get away with some treasure. The one thing that's missing, and when I read through it, I went back through it a couple of times and I couldn't find it, is that in the initial write-up, it says that one of the reasons this base is working is because a malfunctioning android has come back online and is badly executing its orders. But when I go back to the book, I could not find stats in that. I could find stats for the security robots, the local robots, the arcs, various other critters that you can find down there. He really likes, I'll tell you this much, he really likes funguses. He really likes all the creepy, shitty plants and funguses from the original Gamma World book. So you'd get killed by shit that doesn't have a brain. You can just get killed by nasty radioactive or poisonous plants or slugs. And the other thing he really likes for some reason is the fucking Hercle, which is that weird fish that has the 18 intensity contact poison.
Yeah.
Those show up twice. Both scenarios have Hercles swimming around in the flooded sections. He also likes flooding things because if there's no pumps, the groundwater just seeps in. So there's sections of the base that are completely submerged.
Well, that's good. He's like, thinking outside the box to do some different things, which is cool. You know.
So the flooded stuff I really like because that's exactly what would happen. But they're simple little dungeon crawls, and he builds in reasons why they're dungeon crawls, why they're not just they're not just opening up a treasure vault. Why there's still systems down there that are dangerous to you, why it's not a fully armed facility, why it's got damage. There's some history, and while you're down there, the players can piece together what happened in the past. Those mysteries can be answered.
Well, another reason why they're not large things that that you can just drop it anywhere, because he makes these for a gaming convention, so he needs to have something.
4 hours. He's going to be able to get that done in 4 hours.
Yeah, so we need something he can just drop it and play. But it's but it's good for everybody. If anybody out there still playing first edition Gamma World, this is a good thing because if you go to, because they're available on Drive-Thru RPG. As we know, Drive-Thru RPG is now the premier site where a lot of people, large companies and small, established companies, people doing their own self-publishing, could put their products on. A lot of it's PDF, and they have a lot of print on demand. So the guy who did it, I can't remember his name. I think it's Thomas. Is I can't see his name on here. But there's the company. If you go to Drive-Thru RPG,
it's Tom Wilson.
Tom Wilson. Okay, I knew it was Tom. Throw I Games, and that's THROWIGAMES. Throw the letter I Games, and all his stuff's available there on PDF. It's not really they don't have any print on demand with that, but it's all reasonably priced. The modules were $250 and $350.
Yeah.
For PDF, it's watermark PDF, and a lot of his issues of Back to Basics. If you like basic expert Dungeons and Dragons, the fanzines, they're like $1.50, $2. He has some other adventures that are a couple dollars. So he's putting out a lot, again, supporting the old school I hate that term.
Did
The
you
old
say
school
that,
role playing.
Did you say that second edition Gamma World is now available through drive-through?
No. Wait, I haven't got there yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But that was going to lead me into drive-through RPG. So those are available there. Throw Eye Games. Even if you're just interested in just getting them to read, it's going to cost you $5-6 for a couple of adventures on PDF. So support the guy. He's doing the old school stuff, which is become popular, and that's what a lot of us like. Now, Wizards of the Coast, for some reason, in their infinite wisdom, have finally started putting a lot of their older gaming products on drive-through RPG, if you didn't know that already. Some of the licenses they've gotten rid of, like recently they got rid of Top Secret, but they've still held on with Death Grip to some of these other IPs, which they're not doing anything and will not do anything with, except they started putting Boot Hill up. They did Star Frontiers, which is basically Star Frontiers is really just basically D&D, basic D&D in space, but I'm not. I like it. But they also started doing Gamma World finally. 4th edition has not 4th edition, 7th edition, which is 4th edition D&D, has been up for a while. It's still available in stores. You can find them on clearance. If you really want to get a physical copy, you could get one cheap because they made way too many of those, and they're just collecting dust and rotting. But they started also putting out some of the earlier editions. Like recently, they did 4th edition first, which was 90. They did 4th edition. I think they did a couple of the source books, not everything. They put out 1st edition Gamma World, which I mentioned before, and I got the print on demand for that. I got it comes with a PDF. You could order just PDF, print on demand, or PDF and print on demand. So since it was 1st edition Gamma World, I got that. Now, the PDF, the scans are good. They did a good job with the scans. They actually spent some time on them. Unlike when you find a lot of this bootleg crap out there, it's just garbage. But they did a nice job of scanning, nice clear printing. The PDF, the organization is they didn't put any effort correctly into that because it's a little janky the way they put it together. Because the PDF basically and the print on demand basically comes to where the top of the box and the back of the box is the front and back of the print on demand and the PDF. Now on the inside, it was a little janky. Like the PDF was not, the order wasn't really good because they started with the book cover, and then they started then they put like the map, and then they put the back cover of the book, and then they put the rest of the book. So they didn't lay it. They didn't logically lay out the PDF. They cleaned it up a little bit for the print on demand, but it's still the one thing that's off with it is, you got the cover, you have the first page of the actual booklet. Then the next page is the back cover of the booklet. Then the book starts. So they really should have, book ended it. They should have put the back page at the back of the book. That's my only gripe about it. And then after the book, so when the book is over, they also then put, it's not useful. You can't really do much with it, but the map is in there too. So that would have been fine if they would have done box top, cover of the book, the entire book, back cover of the book, map, back of the box. They just had to move one page, But otherwise, it's thicker, heavier paper. The print quality is really good. It's totally something useful. You could play off it. It's their typical pricing, which is like, I think it's like, I don't know what it's like, $6-7 for the PDF, and then you get the print on demand for like $15, or you can get both of them for a discount. So 1st edition is up there. They just put up 3rd edition. So they're really starting to get this stuff out there. So they did 3rd edition. I don't know what that one looks like, but I think basically they mashed the entire box in there, like the book, the charts, the adventure, everything's all together. So I don't know how that breaks up. If you have the PDF and if you have an editor, you could kind of separate it out so it makes a little more logical sense for you. But 3rd edition's up there. So now they have 1st edition, 3rd edition, 4th edition, 7th is up there. So I think second edition's got to be next, because I think they would do second edition before they did fifth edition, which was Alternity.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sixth edition is up there too. I forgot about that. The sixth edition, which was the D20, which was done by Sword and Sorcery Studios, which is a subsidiary, was a smaller side company for White Wolf Publishing.
Yeah.
So if they're doing, because they've been doing D&D stuff for years, like modules, source books. But now they're starting to do some of the other IPs. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they'll start doing some of the Gamma World modules and stuff too. So we'll be able to get all the content up there, at least as a PDF and print on demand. So that's kind of cool,
No, I think that they're going to find out that when it comes to buying PDFs, it's a nice, cheap way to get your nostalgia on. And and their production costs are just minimal. I think it's nothing but gravy for them if they do that.
You just got to pay. You just got to pay the resources to get. You have to get a good copy of it, and pay somebody the time to get good scans in. But once you've done that initial investment, it's all. You're right. It's all gravy. They just put it on there, and Drive-Thru RPG has a file structure of like whatever this is how much it costs to print. If it's POD, this is how much it costs to print. We have X markup, and then anything above that is yours, depending on what you put for the price. So if it's like you put it, if it costs, let's just say $5 to print, and they take, like say you put it for $10, it costs $5 to print. They'll take their 20%, and then anything else is your profit.
It's 30. They take 30.
Oh, they're up to 30. Okay, so, but yeah, so it's all once you have that initial investment of time. Then it all just goes up there. You don't have to warehouse anything. You don't have to do anything like that. And then PDFs, you're just taking a cut. They're just taking a cut. For PDFs.
Yeah, but for that 30% drive-through, and this has been my experience through PIC and publishing, they give you great record keeping. Okay.
Oh yeah.
They do a great job keeping your records for you. You do not have to design a website yourself. You do not have to design a payment system yourself. For a tiny company like us, there was no choice. We were not going to burn the man hours to set up a system to move PDFs when we could just do it through Drive-Thru RPG.
Yeah, it's a reliable, well-known, respected website.
Yeah, and especially the traffic. It's that well-known thing. You can't beat that. They're doing the advertising for you. That's a dime. That's not one dime you have to put into advertising.
Oh yeah, so so they have that company, and if people don't know, they also have an offshoot, Drive-Thru Cards, where they do print-on-demand card games, and the quality of the stuff is good too. So, yeah. So again, Throw Eye Games is available. There's a lot of Gamma World stuff that's now available on there as well. What else? One of the other things I came across is we've talked about before in the past, Mutant World, Richard Corbin. Many years ago, I found out that there was a continuation of the story called Son of Mutant World, which came out in 5 comics, put out by, I can't read the comic company. I can't read this.
You're putting those glasses on like Kirk in the 1982 film Wrath of Khan.
If I was only that cool. Fantagore Press.
Okay.
So I'd heard about this, and for the people who could see the video, I have all 5 copies of Son of Mutant World. Okay?
Okay.
Now, I'd heard about them, and finally I decided to track them down. I got it because, they're older. I mean, the original cover price was $2 a pop. I think I paid, with shipping, less than $5 a book, maybe $4 or something like that. Not bad, because it's old, out of print, hard to get, and some of them are really bad shape, and these are really great shape, so I was excited. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Now, to my disappointment, I mean, they're not big comics, which was fine, but the entire comic book is not dedicated to the story.
Oh!
Son of Mutant World.
Oh, harsh. Oh, they padded it out with some other bees story.
It's a little bit of an anthology of other things. Now, some of them are apocalyptic as well, so
Good.
that's cool. But I was thinking that the whole thing was going to be Son of Mutant World. I thought I was going to get a lot of material, but so that was just so each one of them's like that. So it's kind of like it's an anthology, comic book with. I mean, like the first one. Only like maybe, I don't know, a dozen pages are dedicated to it. So it spreads out over 5 comics. It probably could have all been done in one comic, but they were doing other stuff. I mean, it was all Corbin and stuff. So I'm like, all right.
Now, is all of it Corbin?
No, I think there is some other Corbin stuff, but there's other people in here.
Okay.
A lot of it is Corbin. It might all be Corbin.
Do you remember the post-apocalyptic Corbin comic that was all about the missile silos out in Kansas? About there's some sort of war going on between people living in North America, where it's some sort of religious war, but it's been so long in the future they're referring to each other as, instead of Catholics, they're like Catlicks or something.
No, that doesn't ring a bell.
All right, well, never mind. That's an assignment for next week.
So I got them all. I would have to say, unless you're the completist type like me, who likes to track and dig this stuff up, you could skip it. It's not all, like I said, it's not all the story, and the story is kind of, well, the first Mutant World wasn't Shakespeare by any means. We know that. But it was fun. It was fun. I enjoyed it, when I was, 15. It was good. I still like it to this day. I had a Mutant World poster in my room when I was 15, because I ordered it through Heavy Metal. So this story was kind of, it was a little weaker than the other story was. I didn't like it as much. So I spent the time and money to track it down to get good copies of it, because a lot of people wanted, because it's vintage, it's old, people wanted like, $10, $15 a comic book, and I'm like, no fucking way. So I was able to get for a reasonable price. I don't regret it by any means, but unless you're said you want to be a completist, you can skip it. But I did track that down, so it is out there. Son of Mutant World. If anybody wants to find that.
Okay. So tell me one thing. It looks like it's the who was the I'm trying to remember what the name of the protagonist from original Mutant World is. Dim, D-I-M. It was Dim, right? Demito, otherwise known as Dim. And
I used to call him Dim.
This is like it's like Dim's daughter is the plan.
Yeah, it's his daughter's.
Him and the girl from the first comic have moved off to, mom and dad are gone at the generation later.
Yeah, they left in the first book, and now it's his daughter, and I'm trying to see I saw the name here somewhere.
All right. Basically, go ahead.
Dementos, Dimentos.
Okay.
So it's his daughter with the girl that he went off with. So it's a continuation of those characters, and he's in the book. So.
Oh, he is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the original characters. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So again, it's interesting. It's one of those like, oh, really? They continue that, just like with Cobalt 60.
Mm-hmm.
I have the one compilation because it appeared in Heavy Metal or Epic, I think, originally. But apparently, I had the one graphic novel, which had where it's like a larger graphic novel that had the story of Cobalt 60 in it. Now, I didn't know, again, back in the 80s, I didn't know. They continued the story like in the late 80s, early 90s, and there was like a couple more comics or graphic novels they put out. Mm-hmm. Which I discovered, I don't know, in the last couple of years, but I haven't really tracked those down. But it continued the story. after the one well known that was out there. I'm like, oh, okay. So there's more Cobalt 60 to be had.
Well, I have only the vaguest recollection of those of that Cobalt 60. I I mean, I feel like I know, but at the same time, it feels. All I can remember is the one that ends with him being carried off by the humans at the end, right? Where they've pulled the mask off him, and he's not a mutant, you know, and he's being dragged away at the end as they're singing his praises, I guess.
Yeah, I think that was the end of the one book, you know. So, but yeah, no, it's because it's Von Bode who did that, who also did Cheech Wizard. Mm-hmm. So if anybody's familiar with Cheech Wizard, it's the same art style, Von Bode, and because I think what happens, because he died quite a number of years ago. I think his son continued the Cobalt 60 stuff after his.
That also sounds vaguely familiar. That it's not actually Von Bode, but it was some other. It was stuff that was begun but not finished.
Yeah, stuff that he started, and his son worked with somebody to finish it up because his son, was able to produce his dad's art style.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. So, what else? That's a lot of stuff. Well, the only other thing I wanted to bring up, because as we know, there's always tons of movies. We got to do the whole Netflix movie list because there's a lot of post-apocalyptic stuff on there.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
But there is one in particular that I remember posting about back in the spring, and I only recently kind of ran across it again. Was a TV series called The Rain, which was, I believe, a Swedish series.
It's Danish.
Danish.
It's Danish, you. And there's a whole thing about going back into Copenhagen, I guess, at one point, and then trying to get out of Denmark on the grounds that there may be something outside Denmark that's not fucked up.
Yeah, because the rain is basically somehow there's this toxic rain that comes that kills people, fucks people up. I guess it kind of mutates them a little bit. And it's a story about these two kids who go with their dad, who's a scientist, into a shelter. He goes out, never comes back. Years later, they come out and encounter other people, and the story ensues.
Have you seen any episodes?
I have not. I've only recently bookmarked it on Netflix. Okay. The one thing, the thing that has me worried about it is it was under the young adult category.
Mm. Well, considering the number of people they kill, and sort of the situation where it's like, then they have a rather nasty example of what happens when you don't kill somebody you're supposed to. I can't shoot a mother with her child, and then she goes and infects everybody and kills them. Everybody dies horribly because you couldn't pull the trigger. They do that one time. They're not shy about killing people in a relatively grisly manner.
Oh, so even though they classified as young adult, it's
young adult because the people, our survivors, are brother and sister who've been in a bunker for like something crazy like 6 years. So he goes from being 11 to 17, which is a gigantic fucking change.
Yeah.
He goes to being twice her size. And they're kind of crazy, and they're kind of stuck in this bunker, and they run out of food, and that's why they have to leave the bunker. But I haven't seen the whole thing. I've seen part of it. And the dubbing wasn't great, so that was a little off-putting. I think I might have been better off if I could have watched it with subtitles, but I didn't have a lot of time, so I was listening as much as watching sometimes. But it was plenty violent. The big mystery that you're trying to get unraveled is how come Dad had a bunker with like a 12-year supply of food in it, right? How come Dad had everything so wired together? The answer is he probably caused it.
Well, that kind of brings me back to Jeremiah.
Yeah. Yeah, it does have that. It does have some of that going on in it. And as far when they get out of this fucking bunker and go to Copenhagen, the people who have survived, it's not good. All right, it's full on fucking feral shit. It's not good at all. Everyone's a little bit batshit crazy and savage, and yeah, it's pretty brutal. It was good so far. I didn't have any real complaints about it, but at the same time, it wasn't really compelling me to get all the way to the end. And I think the biggest off-putting thing was I wasn't really thrilled about the voice actors who were doing the voices of the kids. They weren't great. They come off a little whiny, even though what the kids are doing isn't whining. I felt like the voice actors were putting some whine on it, and that's a problem.
So you think it would have been better if they would have just had it in their native tongue and we had subtitles?
I think so. I'm gonna finish.
Well, it might have helped it a little bit.
I'm definitely finishing it. I just went because I'm a completist. Put it this way: I have an interest in going back and seeing that. I have no interest in going back and seeing Revolution. Speaking of TV series apocalypses, because
I lasted about 6 episodes of Revolution, and I was like, I can't watch this anymore.
Because Revolution's idea that somehow you can turn the existence of technology off, science just stops working, really pissed me off.
Well, I think I got far enough to realize that it was some kind of nanotechnology bullshit.
Yeah, because apparently, I'm like, again, that's not how nanotechnology works, motherfucker. But okay, fine. My favorite nanotechnology so far was the Silo series.
Yes, they did a good job with that.
They actually had a great idea of how nanites would work combined with freezing with cryogenics. I thought that was a really great way to use nanotechnology to make cryogenics finally work.
But the rain, worth checking out at least.
Yeah. I think you're going to be happy with it. At least to start with, there are problems, but I still feel like I want to go back and finish it. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I'm just happy to see another country's apocalypse. Right?
Hey, I can. You know what? I'll put it on my list to watch, and once we're both finished with it, hey, there's an episode right there.
Yeah, we'll throw in that French-Canadian zombie movie, Ravenous. Because
I got that bookmarked. I got to watch that too.
Yeah, because again, it's different places doing this. I'm just always very happy with some other place doing a post-apocalypse. One of the reasons I was most happy about the show, the German show, The Dark, which is this super fucked up time travel show. It starts off looking like, they're doing a German version of Stranger Things. Yeah, well, maybe in sort of general overall themes, but it gets into a really ugly time travel story, where time travel is not fun anymore. And the last thing they show is, because they've been bouncing around in the past, is they show something where the characters have been flung into some sort of post-apocalyptic future. And my thought was like, yes, I want to see a German post-apocalypse. That's exactly what I want to see, So I'm really excited about that second season for no other reason than I want to see what the Germans do their post-apocalypse.
Yeah, you said it's called The Dark?
Yeah, The Dark.
Where's it on?
It's on Netflix as well.
Okay.
It's on Netflix as well. Now that thing about the, going into the future, that's one of the last things that happens in the series. And it's the cliffhanger it ends on. So you don't get much, but you get just enough to know, apparently. And it's not... The future looks very it doesn't look Mad Maxy. It looks very Jeremiah. It looks like some of those wars in the Balkans, you know what I mean? It looks wet, rainy, cold, and miserable. But don't worry, there's plenty of bullets.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good then.
That's good news, right?
Oh yeah. All right, so cool. All right, so we'll look at the rain, and then the only other two more things I'm going to brief. These are brief things, and then we'll wrap it up. besides there being an American version of Train to Busan being made, which I think will fail because, well, we
don't have trains.
We don't have the train culture that they have in Europe and Japan, so it's not going to make any. It's not going to work well. But they are actually making the Korean is actually making a sequel to Train to Busan.
Yeah, color me there.
So I'll be worried because they could easily continue that because it just happened. The girl got through. I think they could continue that story, or maybe they might take it from a different angle. So I'm curious to see what happens with there. And speaking of trains, here's the last thing we're going to finish on this. I found this on YouTube because I was bored and digging around. There's a guy who makes this video, and he has a theory. Now, the theory's pretty thin sometimes, but sometimes it's very compelling, okay? He theorizes that Snowpiercer, which I still haven't heard anything about the TV show that was supposed to be coming out for that. So Snowpiercer is the sequel to the 1970 film Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Ooh. I see some overlapping themes.
Like I said, it's some of his connecting is very thin, but sometimes it's very compelling where it's like, you know what, I could see that. You know, it's like he makes some good arguments. Some of them are very weak where it's like, that's a stretch, but he has some very good arguments.
Oh my God. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, wow. Okay. You're going to put a link to that in the show notes, right? You're going to link to the Willy Wonka theory, right?
Yeah, I'll post it on the blog. It's like I don't do show notes, you know, because I tried doing that at the beginning and it's just too cumbersome. So I'll just do my normal. I'll make a post on the blog talking about, you know, with a link to it. It's
that's hilarious.
Oh, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, okay, I gotta watch this. I was like, I gotta see this guy's crazy theory. And like I said, some of it's like, oh, yeah, okay, I can see it.
You can feel the crazy beginning to infect your own brain. You know?
Yeah.
Shouldn't I be immediately dismissing this? I mean, is he making sense or am I losing it? You know,
he made sense.
Oh dear.
A lot of things like, oh, okay, well, yeah, all right, okay. The time frame seems okay. Then that and that's okay. Yeah, no, it's.
Does this make Ed Harris Willy Wonka, or is Ed Harris
Charlie?
Oh my God! Here's
some overarching themes: the food production angle.
Yeah.
Small children, well, Oompa Loompas, the people dying out, using children now. The technology, because Wonka was big into different technologies.
Okay.
The train, he makes some like finding a successor. The guy who was his agent. Some of the characters may be. Some of the other the weak stuff was like some of the other characters were like, you know, the different characters from the story.
Yeah.
But the theory of it being him and building the thing and the technology, the food production, it's like, yeah, it's
the idea that it's Charlie is super nasty.
It's crazy. It's, you know, it's InfoWars crazy, you know. But wow.
That is.
I don't think anything's that crazy, but anyway, I'm staying away from that stuff. I didn't say it.
I'm not going there.
No, we will not politicize the show. All
right, so you got your connection there to Train to Busan. We've got Snowpiercer connection to Charlie of the Chocolate Factory. Anything else before we sign off?
No, that's it. I think we shared a lot of good stuff with our our friends of the apocalypse to get them thinking, and maybe again, if you want to support the small publisher, go to, and you like Gamma World, even if you just want to read something cool, some adventures for Gamma World, Throw I Games. So Throw letter I Games. It's going to cost you for the PDFs. It's going to cost you $6. Okay, it's you could skip your I went out of focus here.
It's one latte.
Yeah, you could skip your. Hold on, I'm gonna focus my. It's not focusing. All right, but hold on. Yes, people, I got my hand in front of the camera to force it to try to focus on me. There you go. I should keep it off of autofocus. I should just make it a fixed focus. But yeah, Throw Out Games is gonna cost you $6. You know, you could buy one less, Happy Meal a month or for the whole year to support a small publisher for some cool stuff. But that's all we got. And episode 75. And just as a side note, this is the 4th episode we've recorded in like the last 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, we've done 4 episodes in 6 weeks. We're on fire, folks. Well, we didn't do a show for 6 months, so we're trying to make up for that. So
yeah. It all evens out.
Yeah,
we do nothing for a whole year, and then 12 episodes in 1 month. That's how it's going to work.
Well, we weren't that bad. It was literally about 6 months we didn't record anything. Well, then we had another thing before, but a lot of that or the stuff before that was due to me because I had my surgery and recovery and all kinds of BS going on. But now we're back on track, folks. We're not gonna necessarily keep up this a show every week pace, but we're gonna keep them at least 1 or 2 a month. We're gonna try to keep that pace up for shows so we could keep on getting content there, because I would like to, before the end of next year, hit episode 100.
Absolutely.
That's ambitious. That means I have. So let's say this November is half over December. So in 13 and a half months, we got to do 25 more episodes. That's a hefty order.
All right, that's basically 2 a month.
Yep. There is no guarantee that we will be able to accomplish that, folks, but we'll try our best.
I'm for it. A century of apocalypse here.
Oh yeah, I mean we've been doing the thing for 5 years now. So to finally hit 100, well, like we didn't say we were going to be cranking them out 1 a week or anything like that. We're just going to do them as we can, and we've been doing that. But hey, we're keeping a steady flow of content coming. And I said that's why I'm trying to do different topics, because we've covered a lot of the broad topics. We did that earlier on, like the things like food and music and clothing and weapons and religion and communication. We did a lot of those big broad topics.
Didn't we do sex? Didn't we actually get around to sex at some point?
Yeah, we did sex. That wasn't. There's some ones that weren't my favorite episodes, but
we've covered all the things you're not supposed to talk about at dinner.
Yeah, well, but no, the sex one wasn't terrible. The religion one, I think we went 2 episodes on that. That was way too much, But hey, we live and learn,
we that was kind of a deep dive.
Yeah, that was very deep, but we've covered a lot of the broad topics. We've covered a lot, games and movies and books. I'm gonna have to pick up my pace on reading so we could do more books. Well, the book thing is hard, folks, because that a lot of this stuff is like I've read a lot of books, but some of them I haven't read in like 25, 30 years. Yeah. It's like I don't remember, so I have to reread them. And then Scott may not have a copy. Then we have to track down. So doing books is a little bit harder. Movies are easy, TV shows are easy, but there's a lot of good books. I'm gonna try to get into that stuff too. And I like this off-topic one because that gives us the ability to talk a little bit about a lot of.
One more time.
Let's wait. Line. That gives us the ability to talk a little bit about a lot of things. I don't know why. Man, I don't know why I couldn't get that out. Jesus. So that's cool. So I like that. Instead of chewing up 20 minutes of our normal shows, about the little things. So if we just keep on dropping these in every few episodes, we could build up and save, like I said. And I think it's been a successful format. So I'm glad we started doing that. So, but that's it, folks. That's all our news that's fit the print. We're gonna get off our post-apocalyptic boat. Wait, what do they? It goes rant, rave. Oh, we're gonna get, well, because I said whatever, we're gonna talk about whatever floats our boat. I was trying to remake my connection, so we're getting off that boat. All right, it's not floating anymore, so we're off it.
Abandoned ship.
We're gonna abandon ship, but not sure what we're gonna do next, folks. But we know, hey, maybe we'll do rain. There's some other things we could talk about, but as usual, me and Scott will talk offline, and we'll. We
can certainly do that Netflix roundup. Because
oh boy.
When it comes to finding out where all your easily accessible apocalypse is,
for good or bad,
Yeah, there's plenty of them that don't look that great. Boy.
Oh yeah. So, but at least we can make a nice comprehensive list. So that's something we could possibly do. So, all right, that's it, folks. Again, as always, thank you for joining us and giving us your time to entertain you. As usual, if you're a big YouTube person, subscribe to the channel. That way you'll see when new episodes are posted. Otherwise, you can subscribe to, you can like us on Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. But you can, but the main part, you're going to get is the blog, podcast@ground0.com. That's where everything gets posted. So you can always see what's going on. Go to the right column where it says subscribe by email, or you could just put in the address. And if you use an RSS feeder, which a lot of people do, I do myself, just put the address into your RSS feeder, and then anytime there's a new post, you'll see when something's happening. Or again, subscribe by email. There's a spot on the right side that where you can put your email address. And I think we're up to like almost 400 people subscribing by email now. So that's good. So anytime we post something, they'll get an email. So there's no other additional spam. It's just anytime there's a post. So subscribe to us on the blog, subscribe to us on YouTube. If you like the video, of course, like it. And I think that's it, folks. So as usual, we'll see you in the wastelands. Thank you and good night.